Jabari Smith is the definition of versatility. On offense, he can play in the post, he can drive, he can shoot super well from beyond the arc, 43.7% from 3, and he has a KD-like face-up game, which is super unguardable. On defense, he's extraordinary. He can play on-ball, off-ball, perimeter, interior, brings really good energy on that end. He has great athleticism, which helps him on both ends of the floor. He's not super ball dominant, which is probably really appealing to teams. He's only 18, which means he has a lot of room to grow, and he has a great frame to go along with all of this. At 6'10", he's 220, and he has a 7'4" wingspan. There aren't any glaring weaknesses to Jabari Smith's game, but if I had to point out a few minor ones, it would be that he doesn't have the tightest handle, he doesn't get to the rim as much, he sometimes has issues guarding stronger, bigger guys, and he will have to improve as a passer on the NBA level. This is what the lineup may look like if the Rockets draft Jabari Smith. I don't love this lineup because of the two big men, but at this point, I feel like Alperen Şengün should start for his development, and if Christian Wood is still here, that means he's probably going to still start. Jabari Smith brings good versatility, good shooting that the Rockets don't have this year, but I would much rather prefer this lineup, which has Jabari Smith lining up at the 4, and either Jae'Sean Tate or KJ Martin lining up at the 3. This opens up the floor for the Rockets on offense and will immensely help KPJ, Jalen Green. This lineup would be much better defensively, and Jabari Smith would thrive more because he could work in the post in a non-clogged paint. As I said earlier, I think Jabari Smith is the best player in this draft, so I'll give him an A+ talent grade. And as for his fit in Houston, I'll also give it an A+, because Jabari Smith is super versatile and does not need the ball in his hands, so we could put him at the 3 or the 4, and I feel like we would be super successful. Paolo Banchero is probably the best offensive big in this draft. He's an offensive mismatch. He's too fast for big guys, and he's too strong for the guards and wings. He can play inside out. He has a very NBA-ready body, and he's shown great potential in the passing game. His size and athleticism could make him a useful defender on the NBA level. Because of his strong frame, Paolo gets many rebounds. He has a really good handle for being 6'10", 250, and has the ability to run as a point center at the NBA level. Paolo is likely the most NBA-ready player in the draft. The problems with Paolo Banchero as a prospect have always been on the defensive end. His awareness and effort on that end is questionable, which makes him a negative. On offense, he takes way too many low-quality shots. He has average shooting splits at 48% field goal percentage and 32% three-point percentage. Paolo is also really ball-dominant for a big man, which makes his fit pretty questionable. This is what the lineup could look like if we draft Paolo Banchero. As you can see, the front court looks very weak defensively, and the shooting overall looks iffy. This problem does not get fixed if you replace Alperen Şengün with Christian Wood. If we moved Paolo to the 3 and started Christian Wood and Alperen alongside him, the shooting would be even worse, the spacing would be horrible, and the defense would also be atrocious. Overall, I think Paolo Banchero is an offensive dynamo and one of the best players in this class, so I'd give him an A for talent. But as for his fit in Houston, I don't love it, and I would give it a C+. With Alpi looking like the future of the center position, he probably needs a defensive-minded 4 to pair along with him, and Paolo is just not that. Chet Holmgren is a 7-footer that can do everything on the basketball court. He's an elite interior defender, thanks in large part to his 7'5" wingspan that gives him a plethora of blocks. He's an elite weak side defender. To go along with his elite defense, Chet also has a very smooth jumper and great ball handling skills. Chet also has very strong finishing at the rim, given his slender frame, and underrated athleticism. The problem with Chet is that he's built like Frosty the Snowman. he definitely needs to bulk up to improve his effectiveness on both ends of the floor. He would probably have to start off as a 4, not a 5, because he couldn't hang with big men such as Joel Embiid and Nikola Jokic. Chet is also on the older side. He'll be 20 by draft day, and his thin frame could make him injury prone in the NBA. This is what the projected lineup would look like if we drafted Chet, and I really like the fit with Al P. Chet brings the defense and the outside shooting and ball handling, and Al P brings the low post scoring and passing. I think they would work really well off each other. The only problem in this lineup is that there's not enough shooting, but that can be fixed if we replace Jae'Sean Tate. Even if Christian Wood is still here and starts over Al P, I still like the fit because Chet can make up for Christian Wood's lack of good defense. I think Chet is a top 3 player in this class and would give him an A talent grade. As for his fit in Houston, I'd also give it an A. Other than a slight lack of shooting, I really like the fit in Houston alongside Al P or Christian Wood. Jaden Ivey is probably the best guard in his class thanks to his elite two-way play. Jaden Ivey has elite speed and athleticism and is an elite on-ball defender. Jaden has shown a lot of improvement as a primary ball handler as well. He's a terrific transition player that loves to fly. He has great finishing for a guard. Jaden doesn't need the ball in his hands at all times, which is a pretty unique trait for a point guard. From this season to last season, Jaden Ivey has greatly improved as a shooter, as he shot 25.8% from 3 last season and has improved that to 43.6% from 3 this season. In addition, Jaden possesses great size for a point guard at 6'4", 200. Jaden Ivey's athleticism can get the best of him as he looks too out of control at times. In addition, Jaden has a pretty unorthodox shooting form, though he's still hitting shots, so that probably is not a huge issue. To play point guard at the NBA level, Jaden Ivey's going to have to improve his ball handling and passing skills as he's only averaging 3 assists this year. Jaden Ivey's questionable awareness and effort on defense could cap his elite potential on that end. Jaden Ivey's also older than most prospects as a sophomore, so people would argue that he doesn't have as much room to grow. If we draft Jaden Ivey, I think he would slot in as point guard, replacing KPJ. Jaden Ivey brings better athleticism and defense than KPJ, and will likely not need the ball in his hands as much. Obviously, in terms of fit, this doesn't change too much for Houston, but I do think it would be a better fit than KPJ. I've heard people talk about keeping KPJ, starting him at the 3, and moving Jaden Ivey to the 1. I really hate the idea of playing KPJ as small forward, as I think his natural position is a shooting guard and he would be undersized as a small forward. I really like Jaden Ivey as a prospect, and if he can fine-tune his shooting and remain locked in on defense, I believe he could be the best player in this class. As for fit in Houston, I would give him a B grade. Ideally, you'd want a point guard next to Jalen Green to bring more passing, but other than that, the Jaden Ivey-Jalen Green fit would work out pretty well in my eyes. Keegan Murray is one of the most proven players in this draft class. He leads the NCAA in scoring, thanks to his ability to play inside and out on offense. Keegan Murray also projects to be a plus defensive player, as he's very versatile on that end. Keegan Murray projects to be a do-everything forward at the NBA level, and would supply any team with good rebounding and great athleticism and hustle on both ends of the floor. The biggest knock on Keegan Murray is that he's older than most prospects, as he'll be nearly 22 by the time the draft rolls around. In addition, Keegan Murray needs to improve his playmaking skills, as he's only averaging 1.2 assists per game. Keegan can be inconsistent at times as a shooter and has too many defensive lapses. Because of his older age, Keegan Murray doesn't have as high a ceiling as other prospects do. Keegan has not played many high-quality teams, meaning his stats may be inflated. I don't see Keegan Murray starting if we draft him, but in the scenario that he does, this is what the projected lineup would look like. As you can see, the shooting here is not great, and the defense in the front court could be better. Overall though, I don't think the Keegan Murray and Alperen Sengun pairing would be problematic, as Keegan Murray could function as a do-it-all forward and would thrive off Alperen Sengun's playmaking. If Christian Wood stays, Not much would change in terms of fit. I think Keegan Murray would benefit more with Şengün, because Şengün takes less shots than Christian Wood and passes the ball more. Keegan Murray is very talented, but I think others in this draft class slightly outdo him, so I would rate him at a B+ talent grade. In terms of his fit in Houston, I would rate it a B. If Keegan Murray develops into a more consistent shooter and cleans up on the defensive end, I think the pairing with him and Şengün would be very good. If not, it could be problematic. Benedict Mathurin is a 3-level offensive scorer with elite athleticism that has shown potential on the defensive end. Benedict Mathurin has very active hands, which causes lots of tip passes and deflections. On offense, Benedict Mathurin has a smooth floater and shoots great from beyond the arc at 36.3%. Ben has great size for a wing at 6'7" and a 6'9" wingspan. He also gets many rebounds and has great energy and hustle. Benedict Mathurin's limited playmaking and ball handling skills could cap his potential on the offensive end. On the defensive end, Benedict Mathurin is not the most disciplined defender.
Purchase your track today.
If Mathurin puts it all together, there's no question he could be one of the best players in this class, but because he has some fine-tuning to do, I would rate him at a B+ talent grade. As for his fit in Houston, I would give it an A-. Ideally, you would want your 3 to be a little bit bigger than Mathurin, but everything else Mathurin brings makes him a great fit in Houston.